New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello. It's me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. And I am a grief coach, a registered nurse, a religious science practitioner, and a licensed soul collage facilitator. And I love adding this piece that I am a human right here on the planet with you, moving through our daily lives and on this journey together. So I just want to say welcome, first of all, and thank you for joining us. If this is your first time joining us, I just want to assure you, just rest assured that you have come to the right place to start your journey of recovering from grief. And if you are a returning guest, oh my gosh, yes, everyone's a guest. But if you are a returning viewer, I am so honored. I am so happy to know that you are finding value in this and that you are coming back for more. And here's what I say to both, your first time, your 100th time, please make this hour yours. Join the conversation, drop a comment in the comment box. Or if you have a question, some insight, just drop us a note in the comment box. As I said, make this time yours. Make this hour about you and where you are on your journey of recovering from grief. And before we move into more about grief and onto our special guest, I just want to say happy Juneteenth Day. And if you don't know what Juneteenth is now a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. And it derives its name from combining June and the 19th. And it's celebrated on that anniversary of an order that came down from a Major General George Gordon Granger, proclaiming freedom for all enslaved people in Texas on June 19th. So they married the two, the month of June and the date of the 19th, to make Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth. So with that said, back to our task at hand. And what my goal is here, my goal today and every show that I bring forward is just to help to move the needle on grief, to bring it out of the shadows of our lives and into our daily conversations, making it a part of our life. Because grief is here. Grief is what we experience. I mean, loss is what we experience. Grief is what we feel. And that's how it's determined. It's loss that puts us into grief. And loss can just be defined as any expected or unexpected occurrence where you can't go back to the way things were before. Yes, death is the big mother of all of our losses. It's the biggest loss, the most impactful loss. But we also have other losses that really impact our lives in significant ways. Think about divorce or a diagnosis, a geographical move, a natural disaster, also the birth of a child, puberty, graduation, job promotion, loss of hopes and dreams. Yes, loss of hopes and dreams. That can put us into grief. And grief is just defined as that collection of normal, yes, normal, natural emotions that follow a loss. And it can include these, but not limited. It can include sadness and anger. It can also include numbness, confusion, guilt, anxiety, and even joy in some circumstances. That is grief. And my three takeaways, my three pillars of all of this is that grief needs to be heard. Grief needs to be shared. And grief needs to be validated. Yes, those are the three pillars of healing grief. It needs to be heard, needs to be shared, and it needs to be validated. People need to know that what they're grieving, yes, you're so right to grieve that. Yes, yes, needing that validation. But also, grief does have a magical superpower. And that superpower is to heal us, to change us, to transform us in a positive, life-affirming way. Though it may feel painful, it's uncomfortable at times, knowing that it is moving you forward. It is transforming you in a positive way. So welcome, and let's get this conversation started and underway for today. My theme for this week is mourning the loss of a dream. Yes, mourning the loss of a dream, which can definitely put us into grief. And this week, I am just so super excited that I have a super special guest by the name of T.C. Currie. And T.C. Currie is a technologist with the heart of an artist who's parlayed her wide range of experience into lighting the path for others. TC's transformational poetry is about being on the path to being your authentic self. And her personal essays have won the Solace Travel Award and has been included in two Chicken Soup of the Soul books. The first one, The Power of Gratitude, and BU, 101 Stories of Affirmation, Determination, and Female Empowerment. TC is just awesome. TC's newest book, Take the Easy Path, which will be surfacing soon. But TC now just leads a delightfully eclectic life as a writer, a speaker, a poet, body positivity activist, and an occasional lingerie model. So she says, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And we're going to welcome TC to the show right now. And TC is going to honor us with what she does best. It's writing poetry, and she is going to bless us, honor us with a poem to get this show started. Welcome, TC.
Welcome, and happy Juneteenth to you as well.
Yes.
So I wanted to start with this poem. This is from my collection of poems called Ode to Cookie Dough, which is a transformation. It's, as the intro said, all of my poems are about being on the path to becoming your authentic self. And so this collection starts in darkness, and then it moves through discovery, and then doing the work and doing the more work and doing the more work, and then coming into light at the end.
Right.
And so is from early on in the poems. And I was in the midst of doing these poems and I saw something on Facebook that talked about what actually happens when a butterfly transforms into a caterpillar. And so, it spins the cocoon and you're like, oh, and then butterfly. No, it completely dematerializes into goo. And it's the goo that reforms itself into the butterfly. And I was like, whoa, that sounds familiar. So
Yes.
this is a question to a butterfly. Did it hurt, little one, in your dark cocoon where an earthbound creature transformed herself into beauty with wings? Because I am trapped inside my own shadowy cocoon with only myself and transformation. I am in pain, shedding my skin, new things growing, my insides coming out. It is safe beneath the silken threads, but unfamiliar,
Mm.
and I am scared. I want to know, little butterfly, because I want to hope. For if you felt pain in your cocoon, then my pain will become to me a symbol of my future flight.
Mm. Wow. Well, TC, that is absolutely beautiful. And I wanted to add that when you first started about the chrysalis, I equate that grieving period when we're in grief. I call it the holy chrysalis because during
Mm.
grief, we really are. We are being metamorphosized. We are being transformed. And it is a painful process. It's a painful process. And that's the part that I really want to encourage people through that to say, yes, it's painful. But just like that butterfly morphs into something, the caterpillar morphs into something beautiful. That painful period does have its gifts. But before we get to the gifts, before we need to
Mm.
really just move through what it is, everybody wants to be on the other side of grief, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
only way to the other side is like straight through the middle, like a bullet. You just got to go right through it. So TC, I just would love for you to share with us that, when I read your bio, it's like you're just such an accomplished woman, accomplished person, that I want to just hear your story about your feeling or your acknowledgement of a loss of a dream.
Ah, well, it was
Yes.
interesting hearing that bio, which is on my website, um, because the loss of my dream is wrapped up uh, in doing workshops for Take the Easy Path. Take the Easy Path is a set of guidelines that I created when I was first diagnosed with diabetes. And I was like, all right, obviously, I need to change my relationship with food and with my body. And it needs to be sustainable. So it needs to be outside diet culture, which I had been divorcing myself from for several years at that point.
Right.
And um, so I came up with these guidelines, and then there things like do one new thing. Like if you do one new thing each week, then by the end of the year, you will have 52 new habits and they will be ingrained. Because
Yes.
in the past, what I did is I used my software developer brain and I went back over things. And it's like, all right, I've tried to get healthy a lot and it hasn't worked, obviously.
Right.
So what needs to change in this? And so one of the things is that I would be like, I need to make a change. And so I'm going to change these 18 things. And then that won't work. And it's like, okay. Then also celebrate every little step. So in diet culture, they tell you you can't really celebrate until you hit the weight loss goal. And at the weight that I was, it was like 150 pounds. that's a whole lot of work to do before you can know.
Yes.
So it's celebrate every little thing. If I did something today that I was not doing last week, then that goes in the celebration journal. And that was sort of feeding from the whole gratitude um, kick that I'd been on for a long time before that. So anyway, it's like I applied these and they worked really well. And then other people were like, oh my God, that's really amazing. You should write a book about that. We'd love to hear more about that. You can help so many people. The
Right.
gestalt is right. The timing is right. The wellness community is exploding, right? So, so I got a call out from Chicken Soup to the Soul about this time. I started writing the book and they're like, for the BU book. And I'm like, this is perfect. So I wrote an essay about the grounding guidelines and it was published and then it was put off. And I had acquired a business coach and I actually acquired a web designer who was also a business coach. And so it's like, oh, I need to redo my website if I'm going to do this. And so because of COVID, they put off um, the publication for another year. And I'm like, oh, great, I've got a year. And my business coach was all like, you should do workshops before publishing the book because then you can have money coming in and then that can fund the book. And then, that's the best, most logical way to do this. And so I really got into creating the backstage of doing the workshop. And so this is a million decisions. You're going to redo your website. What do you want to look like? You have to have a brand. What do you want your brand to look like? And what are your colors? And what do the colors mean? And what's your logo? So you have to work with a graphic designer to get a logo. And you need a new title, according to my social media person that I hired. And she's like, transformational leader. And I'm like, part of me is like, oh, hell yeah. And part of me is like, what? So everything that I was doing was expanding, and these workshops were going to be, you know, huge and ramp up into, having hundreds of people, and then we can take the recordings and make those online. And there was this whole plan, and it was pushing and pushing and decisions and moving outside my comfort zone. And then the book arrived, and it's like, oh, do a video filming yourself unboxing the books. And I'd never done anything like that before. So that's way outside my comfort zone. So I
Right.
have this like complete panic attack meltdown in chapter before I do this live that actually turned out okay. Because, being raised in trauma, you are good at pulling yourself together and putting the emotions aside. But I remember talking to you shortly after that, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. And you were kind of like, well, maybe you should take a step outside your comfort zone. And I was like, girl, I have not seen the inside of my comfort zone in like 2 years. And I mean, that's glib, but the point of that is stress. So I spent years as a woman in tech, which is a very stressful thing to do, not just for the actual work, but for being a woman in this very, very male dominated and generally misogynistic world. And then I moved into doing this project for myself. And one of the things I wanted to make really clear is, I've pushed myself a lot in my career, but this time it was for me. This was
Yes.
my dream, and these are my words, and these are my thoughts, and they're helping people. Like, I talk to people casually, and they're like, oh my God, I really want to learn more about that. It's like, and in my bio, it's like, my reason for being here is to light the path for others. And that's what the poetry is. And that's what Take the Easy Path is. And, it's just so much. And I hit a brick wall, and my blood sugar went off the charts. And, everything stopped. I went to the emergency room, and the diabetic pharmacist that I had been assigned was very unhelpful.
Mm.
and was just focused on getting my blood sugar down as fast as possible, which, given the
Yes.
fact it took a long time to ramp up, was not helpful. And I ended up with a combination of medications that he was doing with where I was literally starving myself. I was
Mm.
not eating enough food to sustain my body function.
Yes.
And then I was taking this medication that stripped sugar, which is energy, out of my body. I lost probably 80 to 90% of my brain function,
Oh,
which was horrifyingly terrifying for someone who thinks really fast like I do. Um, it was really, really, really scary. And I mean, I wasn't driving anymore because I was afraid of being in the car. I just couldn't get my brain to work. And so finally, my husband said, "Why don't you go see your acupuncture doctor?" And I had not even thought of that. So I quit all medications and I went to see her. And about 6 months after that, things were like normal stasis again. And I did some other work about my trauma around the medication and with a group called Self Care for Diabetes, who approaches
oh yes.
everything with a kindness and love and sustainability. And,
Mhm.
you can have a little bit of ice cream, just understand how it fits into your day. This is like your life you're leading. And that's part of what the Take the Easy Path was. It's like, this needs to be sustainable because this is the rest
Mhm.
of my life. This is not like, oh, let me drop 10 pounds and I'll go back to normal.
Yes.
So I started taking insulin and it's like, boom, I got a lot of my brain function back. And I was
Mm.
like, oh my God, this is great. So the workshop was completely set aside during
Mhm.
up until
Mhm.
this point. And then
Right.
I started thinking, oh, my brain functioning is coming back. Maybe if I keep this and it stabilizes, then I can bring these back. And about a month ago, I just realized they're never coming back. That dream has withered on the vine and it is no longer possible. And I'm not saying I'm never ever going to do the workshops ever again, but the dream that I had where I was a speaker flying around the country giving keynote talks and I was doing workshops once a month and, creating more workshops and workbooks and figuring out, the marketing and how to bring people in and doing a Facebook every night, some kind of Facebook video every night to engage with people, and all of that is gone.
Mhm.
And um, it's horrible
Right. Yeah. Mm.
because, like I said, I worked so hard for so many other people, and it's like, this was my dream.
Mhm.
And then I was like, I need to talk to Bonnie because this
Oh,
obviously needs
yeah.
to, this needs to be grief. I
Yeah.
need to I need to acknowledge what I need to acknowledge that it's not coming back. And I need to let it go so that I can move forward and find out what is available for me in this
Yeah.
new world.
Yeah.
And just one more thing, and then I'll let you talk. It's it's about the my body's ability to manage stress is why it's not possible. And stress is um, meant to be for you see a tiger coming from the woods and you go, and your stress hormones rush in and then you run and then you go back to safety and then everything
Mhm.
calms down. And I was living in that running from a tiger state for a couple of years. And now my body is just like, yeah, no, we're not doing this
Mhm.
yet. And so whenever I put any kind of deadline on myself, I get overwhelmed and freaked out. And there's a lot of shame in that.
Mm.
and there's a lot of guilt about not putting this information out. I have this information that could be so useful to so many people, and I can't get it out in the world. And you should do that. And shame that my body isn't able to do what it used to do. And
Yeah.
yeah, it really sucks.
What I like to say is, let's just take a deep breath, TC. Let's take a deep breath. Just exhale all of that. That energy that I could feel there. Just breathing it out. Just breathing it out. Inhaling that peace and calm that you desire. And knowing that inside of each of us, there's that calm place. There's that place of peace. So bringing your breath into that calm, peaceful place. And just exhaling out. Oh, so many expectations that you had of yourself. Just releasing it for now. Just releasing it for now. And just being gentle with yourself. Just being gentle with TC. Being so very gentle. And coming from that relaxed state and calm place. I want to go back to what you said when you first started talking about these workshops. Book. It sounded like you had a lot of people telling you what to do. This coach that you had, do this, do that. Did TC have a buy-in in that? Or did, or just thinking that. Did you have a buy-in? Yeah. Were you feeling, what were you feeling? What were you feeling, TC? What were you feeling when you're hearing this coach and your virtual assistant, everybody do this, do that? What were you? Where were you? Where was TC in this? Where was TC?
I was thinking that I didn't know enough about marketing and about creating an online brand and an online presence. And so I should listen to these people who knew more than I did. And I said at one point, I want to stop this and I want to go back to writing the book, because writing the book is inside my comfort zone. And they're like, no, we got to do this path. And so there was pressure to do that. And I wanted to do it. It's just that, another friend of ours, I was talking to her and she said, oh, I bought this book on online courses and how to design online courses. Like, oh, because if I'm charging several $100s, which is what people told me I should be charging, which was also outside my comfort zone, then I should at least look at this book that tells you how to design them so that people will think they're worth it. And I designed them and put, there's a goal at the beginning and the end, and this, whole structure. And then I read this book, and so once again, I'm completely outside my comfort zone. And the book is brilliant. And so now I have to go back and have to rework all this work that I thought was settled, and no, it's not. So I just got caught up in letting other people guide me because they knew more. They knew more than I did. And TC got sort of lost.
I was just going to say, have you had time? It seems like so much has happened. I call it the cumulative effect of life, that so much has happened in truly a short span of time. Have you had time to reflect back on those initial stages as to allowing yourself to be guided by these quote unquote, we'll just say experts? So, that's how sometimes it's held, like, oh, these are the experts. So have you had time to reflect back on that? To say, wow, I now see X, Y, and Z, or I understand.
Well, the thing is that the advice that, I have, a bit, and the advice that they were giving me was solid. I mean, they were not wrong, quote unquote, in what they were telling me. And I have had experiences in the past where I got bad advice. And this was not that. What it was, however, was me not trusting my own inner voice, which has been a path that I've been on for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, um, you know, saying what I wanted and not having that honored, particularly. And just saying, no, 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 we need to go with the workshops first. And this is the path that we're on, and this is what we're doing. And then with the books being published, there's this deadline. So there's all of these hundreds of millions of things that you have to do to get this deadline. And I'm really good at creating content. And I understand marketing, but as far as like actually following through and getting it done and all of that stuff, that's an enormous amount of work and knowledge about how
Right.
to create that. Creating a social media presence is also a lot of very specialized knowledge. It's not just like, oh, you post all the time. I mean, there's a plan, there's a, so much. It's so much.
Mm.
So, um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, there was so much that you said, especially about when you said that you were listening to them. Yes, they have experience,
yeah.
but it sounds like you, would you say you weren't listening to TC? Because
Oh,
you're,
yeah, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
or maybe asking the question to yourself, what do I want? This is what they're saying.
It
Did
was
that ever come
too,
up, and how was that met? Was that met with
well,
any resistance? If you did say, hey, I want X, Y, and
yeah,
Z, was it met
yeah.
with
That's,
resistance?
well, I have a long history of being around people starting from when I was very young, where I would voice my preferences and have them completely ignored. So the one time that I really pushed for something that I wanted, I mean, I was getting a lot of what I wanted. You know, the colors, the logo, um, the social media plan. You know, I had huge amounts of input in that and was guiding all of that. So it's not like they were completely discounting me all the time. But when it came to, it's like, I want to go back, I want to stop all of this and go back and write a book, that that was ignored, essentially. That was
Right.
like, yeah, no, 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 no. We're on this path, we got to follow this path. And I was overwhelmed enough by everything that was going on and all of the decisions that had to be made. And oh yeah, now you have to read this other book, and you have to film yourself doing 10 gratitude things a night, which is something I do every night anyway. It's like, oh, just film yourself, and then I've never filmed myself like
Mhm.
that. And people are like, oh, it doesn't matter. And on TikTok, and it's like, well, it's outside my comfort zone, and I'm not comfortable with it, and it kind of freaks me out. And I
Right.
need to figure out how to make it. It's just, you know, and it just it got lost. You
Right.
know, I
And,
got lost.
and yeah, and I was just going to ask. I mean, these people, I'm sure they met well, and when it was met with resistance, TC, where did you go? Where did TC go?
Mm.
Did you have someone to turn to? Did you turn within? What was your um,
I didn't even
refuge
have,
being
yeah,
met with
I
such
didn't really
resistance?
have, yeah, any time for that. You know, one of the things that's happened in the last 2 years is I have established a very strong daily spiritual practice. So I get
Mm-hmm.
up in the morning, I light a candle in the color correspondence for the day, and light incense in the color in the smell correspondence for the day. I write in my journal, I pick a oracle card, and so that allows me to connect
Mm-hmm.
with spirit and to ground myself and to remind myself of who I am and why I'm here and how to move throughout my day. And I did not have that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
That
so I
too.
was
Yes.
pretty untethered. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like, oh, well, let me journal in the morning and, process these feelings. Like there was none of that going on at that
Right, right. Oh, do you see, it sounds like there was just a lot going on, and then it sounds like you just had a complete crash and burn type of
time. Totally.
situation, if that's what you want, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for lack of a better word. I was going to say, and I just remember following Louise Hay,
Mm.
and she talks about, if I don't want to misquote her, but in diabetes, she talks about that life has lost its sweetness.
Oh, that's,
D- Where
yeah.
would you say you are with that? If that were,
Well, I had the Reverend Savannah. Her mom is diabetic, and when I first was diagnosed, I was talking with her. I know she's been a guest on with you, and her mom said that the mantra that she used is the sweetness in my life comes from connection to spirit.
oh, I couldn't quite hear you.
The sweetness in my
This-
life comes from my connection to spirit. And so
okay,
I was
okay,
using that as a mantra because I do affirmations like all the time. And so I added that
yeah,
into the rotation. And it's my thing is that I traditionally, this is shifting, but traditionally I eat when I'm stressed.
hmm,
And so if I have emotions come up, then I turn to food. And I remember years ago, somebody offered me like a diet pill, and she's like, "Oh, it's great because you'll not be hungry." And I'm like,
hmm,
if
hmm.
I only ate when I was hungry, I would be so thin
Yeah, what
because
a
I would not be
what a
hungry
novel
either.
concept.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So,
I and I want to bring it back to that with all this happening, all this going on, all of these instructions, do this, do that, and then this health crisis that just really pushed everything
yeah,
over the top. I mean, it sounds like it was a lot for you to
yeah,
even try to navigate emotionally. And so, with that, because we're talking about the loss of a dream, so
mm,
with all this energy going toward this dream, then suddenly this health crisis that just moved TC to the front
right.
of the line. How do you How would you tell other people to navigate that time? Because
Mm,
that sounds like that was intense with your health, being in the emergency room. Um,
mm.
I just wanted to
Well,
ask: was there a
uh,
support person there for you?
oh,
Was there a
yes,
support person? Because that's something
huge,
I'd like to explore. Yeah.
huge. He was my boyfriend at the time. He's now my husband. We got married.
Yes.
Um,
Congratulations.
thanks. Um, and he was scared and was like, all right, I do not care if you ever do this workshop ever. I want you happy. I want you healthy, right? So I will support you in whatever it is you want to do to get healthy.
Mhm.
And so my job for the last 2 years has been to stabilize my health. And it's
Right.
been a path. It has been a journey. I am still on it. I am still working on increasing my stamina. I'm still working on getting my blood sugar stabilized. I'm very I'm deep into my spiritual practices that are like every day. I've got a couple of groups that I drop in on for sustenance. I've got a couple of prayer partners that I check in with. I've started a whole new path where I'm learning a whole lot, and I that is what is giving me comfort
Mm-hmm.
and power, and
Yeah.
moving into my own power. And I know that there is something really amazing coming up. I have
Mm-hmm.
no
Yes.
clue as to what it is. Um, and, being in this liminal space is really hard. And I keep thinking, okay, now let's find out what's new. It's like people are like, what are you planning for your future? It's like, I have no plans for my future. I have
Right.
no plans. It's in spirit's hands. I'm doing my daily work. I am increasing my stamina. I am getting my blood sugar levelized. I am doing more movement. I
Mm-hmm.
am practicing, continuing to practice my spiritual path. I'm learning new things. And that's all that I can manage right now. And at some point, something new is going to unfold, and I will be doing that.
Right. And I so hear that. I so appreciate that. There was something that you said that I wanted to go back to. And you said something to the fact that the energy of the stream has died. I just wanted to ask you, is the dream dead or delayed? What
It's
brings
dead.
you to the feeling that it's dead?
The
What, yeah,
dream, yeah, the
blank,
dream that I've had
yeah.
for this national explosion of take the easy path. I mean, it wasn't going to be explosion. It was going to be a build up over, a few years or more. But that's where it was going. That's dead. That is dead. Um, will I ever do the workshops again? I don't know right now. And it's not a useful question for me, honestly.
Right. Right. And
Because I've mentioned this to people and they're like, "Oh no, don't, it's not dead. It'll come back." And that is really not helpful
but
because
let me
it keeps me hooked into something that has withered, and that's the energy of it. And at some point, perhaps I'll circle back and it will light up again and it will make me happy again and I will move forward with it. But to try to keep that dream alive is tethering me to withered energy, which is not healthy.
Right. And my question, though, is
Yeah.
my question is your feeling around the dream now. I'm not saying bring it back or any of that. Just explain what you're saying about it's just died. Um, yeah, just speak to that a little bit more.
Well, it's deeply sad because
Yes.
I invested so many hours and so much energy and not just time, but like soul energy into this
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
money. Um, and that's hard to walk away from. It's like, it's hard. It's hard to let that go. And like I said, it's just really the last month that I've understood that it's withered and died. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I've been trying to keep that alive, sort of in the background, but that's also a lot of shame about not being able to have the physical ability to get this done. And we are in this grind culture where it's what are you producing, and if you're not doing the workshops, I do have value, and so there's guilt about that, and it's like this could be helpful, and so I have guilt for not getting it out in the world yet, and none of that is useful for my life as it is, and thinking that I'm going to get back to that. Like I am still at really about 80% brain power of where I was, and my stress capacity is at about 5%, maybe 10% of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, given those two things, it's that dream is just not possible.
Yeah. I would just like to offer a couple things, or maybe ask, have you allowed yourself to grieve that dream that you said is dead?
No,
And
I really haven't.
so I would just like to offer you, and I know that you love ritual, and I know some of the work that you're doing. I offer you to do a ritual around this. A ritual gives us that sense of control over something that felt uncontrolled. Grief around an issue can just be uncontrollable. It comes up on you at a time out of the clear blue, where if you say to grief, okay, I'm going to allow you space in my life because I honor the gift that you can bring. I honor the gift that's wrapped in your package called grief. And that's, I would offer you that, allow you to feel into that. And in that ritual, however it is that you choose to ritualize this dream, one part of it is examining the regret that you feel around. The regret, any resentment that you feel.
Ooh, there's a word I haven't come across yet, and yes, absolutely.
And then last, I don't want you to move to this right away, is the appreciation. The appreciation for that dream. So it's regret, a ritual that it's about. The regrets that allow you to really feel into it. Yeah. The resentment and the appreciation. Because these emotions that come, they come to pass. They cannot be suppressed. If you suppress these feelings, you can suppress them, but then they come out at the wrong time. You're at the grocery store and they didn't pack your groceries right, and you're suddenly ballistic. And just know that what you resist will persist, TC.
Yeah.
So allow that. You owe that to you. You're worthy. You're worthy of this. You're worthy of this type of ritual that allows you to really look this dream in the face. And and however you want to do that, but just remember that it's a ritual, and it's 3 R's and an A to help move through that. And I find with clients that once they give the grief a place to be, it's like poof, it comes. It's full on, but it's like it's gone. And not completely, and don't be surprised if it resurfaces. Don't be surprised if you have to do a ritual several times. Just be gentle with yourself. I offer that, to be gentle with yourself. Grieving is exhausting. Grieving is exhausting.
Yes.
No, scientifically it's proven there's 10% of our brain power that's being used to process this that we're grieving. And as I said, and great self-care, especially if you're dealing with any type of shame or guilt. And those are two separate things, but 2 biggies that can't be summed up in our 30-second soundbite.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And just to treat yourself, I tell my clients, treat yourself like a newborn baby, like a newborn baby. It can't force this. You really can't force this. I have a friend that taught me this thing about forcing something to go away. Like take your fist and hold your fist up, okay? Take a fist, hold it up. And then try to pry a finger loose. Try as hard as you can, but hold that fist tight. Hold it tight. And you see how it doesn't go. But I want you to take the other hand and put it on top of the fist and just caress that fist. And do you feel that fist starting to relax?
Yeah.
Starting to relax and just melt. That is just to say that being gentle is a lot more effective
Yeah.
forcefulness.
Hmm. Thank you.
And
So I would
TC and I,
like to
yes.
end with a poem.
Oh, well, we're not going to end just yet. I want to
Okay.
say, yes, I want to thank TC for being here
Mhm.
and for sharing from the heart. I'd like to thank TC for her yes. And knowing that in her sharing, someone else out there has gained some insight into their own loss of a hope or a dream. And so with that, TC's going to end with a poem. But before she ends, and you can find TC at tccurrie.com. Before TC graces us with her poem, I'd like to just do a promotion for the Conference of the Americas that's happening right here. I'm in Chapala, Jalisco, Mexico. And so registration is open for the Conference of Americas. And that is going to be August 2nd through the 5th. And just love to have you come down, get registered. It's going to be great speakers, great workshops. I'm going to be one of the presenters. That alone should be enough to get you there. No, no, we just love to have you here. It's beautiful surroundings. It's right on the lake, and they have white peacocks, and it's just beautiful. It's a tropical place. So that's the conference of the Convention of the Americas. So get registered for that. And I just wanted to ask TC, thank you, Joe. I just wanted to ask TC if she had, before she reads her poem, if you had a words of encouragement for someone that is facing that death and mourning of a dream. It doesn't have to be anything profound, TC, just from your heart.
I mean, the self-care component is critical. And it's hard in our society to do that, but it's what will get you through is caring about yourself and
Mm,
your emotions and making space for that.
yes.
Yeah.
I so appreciate that, hearing that. And I too would like to offer just a couple of things that maybe we didn't talk about, especially if you're going through this mourning phase of, really realizing that you truly are saddened by this loss of that dream. During this time, just keep life simple. Just keep life simple. Don't try to overload and take on so many things like, oh, well, that dream died. Now let me go and do this, that, and that. No, just keep life very, very simple. And I also offer this on grief that you need to feel it to heal it. You need to feel that pain to heal it. So knowing that if it has come up now, that this is the best time that you are ready to really look at this pain. There was a minister at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living that said, if you're going through a painful time, a difficult time, just keep going through it. Don't stop and buy a condo there. Don't stop and take up residence. Knowing that, yes, you are feeling it so that you can heal it. And also having faith that this grieving will heal, that the grieving process does heal. And I think TC has spoken to that, having a spiritual practice, that is what can also help move through this period of time. And we did talk about self-care, TC.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We did talk about self-care. And as I told TC about rituals really can be so instrumental in bringing us back to what is real about the situation, and giving you that sense of, yes, I can control. Yes, I have some say so in this. During this ritual, I can do whatever it is that brings me solace. So and most importantly, do share your feelings with people that it's safe to share them with. Not everyone can hear your story. I think Brene Brown says it quite lovely, that people have to earn the right to hear your story. People have to earn the right to hear your story. And Bell Hooks also talks about we can't heal in isolation. So it's about having those friends that you can share this with. And there's 4 friends to truly cultivate. The first friend that you can talk to about this is the one that has gone through the very same loss you've gone through, the very same loss you see of the dream that they helped you. The other friend is one that treats you like nothing ever happened. Oh, TC, come on, let's just go and have a little joyride on the freeway, or if people still do that. Then there's a friend that just listens. No comments, no judgment, no advice. That friend just listens. That's all. And then the 4th friend is a truth teller. And not a truth teller in the way of, oh, aren't you over that yet? Oh, come on, life is to be lived. No, it's about, Bonnie, I noticed you've been a little short-tempered with people. Oh, I see there's a lot of wine bottles going on in that trash. But somebody that will just tell you the truth about where you are. And if you're one of those fortunate people, one client I advised that to said, 4 friends, I'm lucky to have one. But sometimes some people can get truly lucky and have those 4 friends in one. And please do have a support buddy. And I know TC's beautiful husband, but TC, he's busy being husband. That's a full-time job. We need a friend that's a support, that, hubby can get to go and be hubby, and cultivate a friend that does offer that support.
Yeah. I'm blessed in that department.
So with that, TC, I'm going to let you read the poem. And before TC reads the poem, after she reads the poem, after you turn off our program, I want you to go and I want you to look in the mirror. I want you to look in the mirror, look into your own eyes, and say, what do I need today? What do I need? And I want you to take care of that need. Thank you, TC. Much love. You're going to be the last voice out.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, for listening and hearing me, and for sharing your wisdom. And I am hopeful that my story will resonate with other people and they will be able to gain guidance from your wisdom as well.
Yes.
So this poem is towards the end of the collection, and it's called The Abyss. So I stand at the edge of this abyss, facing my fear. I carefully place my toes on the edge of the cliff and realize it is dark down there and very deep. The materials to make the bridge to span the abyss lie in bundles at my feet. I know where I want to end up, but suddenly I am afraid of building this bridge. I've never made a bridge before, and I don't know how. There are instructions and plenty of directions from teachers and therapists and motivational speakers and well-meaning friends. But the individual steps are a bit garbled, like instructions for an IKEA bookcase. The past beckons away from the abyss, away from the confusing bridge part. It
Mm.
is safe back there and promises a steady paycheck. And it makes my heart feel weighted with
Mm.
peace.
Mm.
Because across the abyss dance the twinkling lights of my destiny.
Mm.
My eyes absorb the twinkling lights, and my heart lifts, and a smile sneaks across my face.
Mm.
After one last longing glance at the steady paycheck, I turn to the piles surrounding my feet. My friend, where is that Allen wrench? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief, grief coach. Please reach out. Don't do grief alone. Thank you. Love you.